Hello and welcome to the Fallout New Vegas Unarmed Weapons damage ranking list. I am going to list all 39 unarmed weapons in the game with their bonus abilities and where to find them from lowest to highest DPS, starting with number 39, the boxing gloves. They have a DPS of 1.3 or 2.3 with all perks for unarmed and the bonus effect of doing fatigue damage, allowing humans, ghouls and animals to be knocked down. You cannot knock down robots but do small amounts of additional damage to them for compensation. If you select Unarmed as the tag skill, Doc Mitchell will give you a pair of boxing gloves when you start the game, otherwise you can buy them at Shet or Mick and Ralph's or find them inside the hidden supply cave north of Nipton. At number 38 we have the Golden Gloves. They have a 1.3 DPS or 2.3 with all perks, the same as the regular boxing gloves, the main difference being that this variant deals more fatigue damage to knock down the enemies faster, and therefore more damage to robots to compensate. They also take longer to break than the original boxing gloves. Only one of these can be found and they are inside the Lucky 38 behind the bar in the entrance area. At number 37 we have the Boxing Tape. They have a DPS of 5.1 or 9.1 with all the perks. They still do fatigue damage but less than the boxing gloves, however they also deal increased crit damage. You can buy them from the same places as the boxing gloves or find them in a number of places including Gene Skydiving and the Prospector's Den. Number 36 is Lily's Gauntlet with a DPS of 21.8. This weapon is actually not accessible to the player. It is in Lily's companion list, however it's also inaccessible to Lily. She cannot use it as she will always use the Vertibird blade. If you try and get it from console commands, the weapon simply disappeared. However, it can be repaired using a power fist, so it likely would attack the same way if you could use it. At number 35 we have the Corrosive Glove with a 22.9 DPS or 41.4 with all perks. On a crit it will also inflict 2 DPS poison for 10 seconds. This is a unique poison effect that also affects robotic enemies to imitate corrosion. The weapon can be found in the Big Mountain during the Old World Blues DLC. There are two places it can be found, the Z43 Innovative Toxins plant and on the corpse of Dianella muscipula. These are the only two that can be found, meaning although it is not unique, it is incredibly rare. At number 34 we have the Scientist Glove with a 28.6 DPS or 51.7 with all perks. It has very high crit chance but low crit damage. This is also found in the Big Mountain. It can be purchased at the sink. Number 33 is the Sterilizer Glove with the same 28.6 DPS as previous, but this can go up to a higher of 70.4 with all relevant perks due to its crit effect that sets enemies on fire for 2 damage a second for 5 seconds, which can be affected by the Pyromaniac perk. This can be found in the Y-17 medical facility during the Old World Blues DLC. Number 32 is the Bear Trap Fist with a 29.5 DPS or 61.4 with all perks. This also has a bonus crit chance and 2 times bonus limb damage. You can also get heavy duty springs that make it deal 3 more damage per hit, and these can be found in the Dead Money DLC, frequently on Ghost Trappers. Number 31 is the Dog Tag Fist with 31.6 DPS or 57.1 with perks. It has no special abilities. It can be crafted once the schematics are obtained from Private Halford in the Camp Guardian Caves. The main use for this weapon comes from the fact it is crafted from quest items, allowing you to take it into Dead Money and craft them, since it does slightly more damage than the Bear Trap Fist. At number 30 we have the Deathclaw Gauntlet with 32.6 DPS. This weapon actually cannot be obtained in Fallout New Vegas, only in Fallout 3, however it does have a unique variant that is accessible further up this list. At number 29 we have the Yao Guai Gauntlet with the same 32.6 DPS or 58.9 with all the perks. This is the weapon that replaces the Deathclaw Gauntlet in Fallout New Vegas. This weapon ignores enemies' DR and DT and has a very high condition at 2,995 hits before breaking. This weapon is in the Honest Hearts DLC and can be found on the Sorrows tribe members. After the DLC is done, a number of shops in the Mojave can sell them, including the Gunrunners. 28 is the Brass Knuckles with a 36.9 DPS or 66.8 with perks. This weapon has no special attributes and can be found inside the Nevada Highway Patrol Station or can be purchased from Mr. Holdout in the Strip. At number 27 we have Dr. Mobius's Glove with a 38.2 DPS or 69 with perks. When an enemy is hit with this glove they suffer -2 to perception and -5 to energy weapons for 30 seconds. It also has an effect only applied to critical hits that cause the enemy to be knocked back and frenzied, meaning they are both launched away from the player and made hostile to other enemies with lower perception to increase the odds of infighting rather than them still attacking the player. The weapon is only found at the very end of the Old World Blues DLC near the brain tank in the Forbidden Zone. Number 26 is the Poisoned Bladed Gauntlet with a 39 DPS. This weapon cannot be used by the player and is used by the White Legs in the Honest Hearts DLC. And number 25 is the Bladed Gauntlet with a 39.1 DPS, just 0.1 higher than the previous, or 70.7 with perks. This weapon does increased critical damage and critical chance. This weapon is surprisingly rare as it does not occur anywhere to be looted and must be purchased. It can be bought earliest in the game at the Mojave outpost. 24, we have Waking Cloud's Yaoguai Gauntlets with 40 DPS. This is another weapon that cannot be used by the player, however this one is used by the follower in the Honest Hearts DLC. The reason for its higher DPS than the player's gauntlet is an increased attack speed. At number 23 we have the Power Fist with a 43.6 DPS or 91 with perks. This is the variant of the Power Fist with no attached mods as part of the Gun Runner's arsenal, and it can be found commonly across many shops in the Mojave. Number 22 we have She's Embrace, which has a DPS of 44 or 79.5 with perks. This is a unique variant of the Yaoguai Gauntlet with higher damage and attack speed and massive durability. It also ignores enemy armour and is found as a reward from the quest Rite of Passage in the Honest Hearts DLC. At number 21 we have Dr. Klein's Glove with a 46.4 DPS or 83.8 with perks. It has similar regular effects to Dr. Mobius's but minus 2 strength and minus 5 energy weapons when landing a hit, and when landing a crit instead of Frenzy, it reduces the target's strength by a further 1 point and reduces their damage threshold. This variant of the glove can be found inside Higgs Village. Number 20 is Recompense of the Fallen with a 47.4 DPS on 91.8 with perks. This unique variant of the Dogtag Fist is the exact same, just with more damage and faster attacks. It can be found at Cottonwood Cove in the desk on the second floor of the office building. 19 we have Cram Opener with a 47.5 DPS or 85.8 with perks. This is the unique version of the Bladed Gauntlet, doing more damage and higher attack power and higher crit damage. It can be obtained from Little Buster, a bounty hunter inside Camp McCarran, or if you complete 3-card bounty, his corpse can be found in Freeside with the Cram Opener on it. At number 18 we have the Zap Glove with a 57.3 DPS or 103.5 with perks, and additional damage against robots and people in power armor. These can be sold at multiple shops in the Mojave or found on Brotherhood of Steel members in Hidden Valley. At number 17 we have Spike Knuckles with a DPS of 59.2 or 107 with perks. This weapon has no special effects other than being the brass knuckles but with spikes, and can be found in Boulder City, on Fiends or Viper Gunslingers, and it can also be purchased in Novak. At number 16 we have the Poison Mantis Gauntlets with a 60.6 DPS, and much like the Poison Bladed Gauntlet it can only be found on Whitelegs in the Honest Hearts DLC and cannot be used by the player. At number 15 we have the Mantis Gauntlet, and similar to the Bladed Gauntlet again, it has 0.1 higher DPS at 60.7 DPS or 109.6 with perks. It has a higher crit modifier and it's found inside the Honest Hearts DLC on enemies or can be sold in the Mojave after its completion. Number 14 is Salt Upon Wounds Power Fist, which does 61.4 DPS or 110.9 with perks. It has a special effect that allows you to deal 3 damage per second for 10 seconds, and makes the enemies dizzy and struggle to attack, making this a much better weapon than the stats actually show. It is a unique weapon used by Salt Upon Wounds in the Honest Hearts DLC, and if you don't get it from him when you kill him, it's left in a chest when the DLC is finished. At number 13 we have the Power Fist with attachments this time, 62.8 DPS or 91 with perks. It's the exact same as the regular Power Fist, but the mods allow it to have double the condition, 8 more damage per attack, and an increased attack speed of 20%, which moves it up the list 10 spaces. It can be found in shops along with the mods for it, the same as the standard version. At number 12 we have the Saturnite Fist with a 63 DPS or 113.8 with perks. This is the Power Fist that can be found in Big Mountain during the Old World Blues DLC. It attacks faster than the regular Power Fist even when it's modded, but it does do less critical hit damage. They're often found on lobotomites during this DLC. At number 11 we have Embrace of the Mantis King, which have a 65.7 DPS or 137.1 with perks. This unique variant of the Mantis Gauntlet has a higher crit damage and a higher crit chance, as well as higher attack damage but lower attack speed. It has more reach than its original variant and it can be sold at Mick and Ralph's. At number 10 we have the Paladin Toaster with a 67.1 DPS or 121.2 with perks. This unique variant of the Zap Glove actually has the second highest DPS on this list when used against robots, as it has plus 50 damage on them. As well as this, it deals plus 20 to people in power armor. It deals more damage and has a higher crit damage than the standard version, and it can be found in Blackrock Cave. Number 9 is the Displacer Glove with a 68.2 DPS or 123.2 with perks. This Power Fist variant has a knockback effect on enemies and high critical hit damage. It can be found on Caesar's Legion safe house or purchased from numerous shops, or taken from the corpse of Caesar. At number 8 we have Love and Hate with a 75.8 DPS or 137 with perks. This weapon is surprisingly high up on the list to me, the unique variant of the Spike Knuckles. It deals more damage and has a higher speed than the regular Spike Knuckles, as well as slightly higher crit damage but the same crit chance. It can be found on the Viper Gang Leader at Bonnie Springs. At number 7 we have Two Step Goodbye with a 76.4 DPS or 159.2 with perks. The unique variant of the Ballistic Fist, although doing less damage than the standard version, it has a very high crit chance, less crit damage. However, upon getting a kill with a critical hit, the enemy that you've defeated turns into a bomb that explodes after 2 seconds and deals further damage to other nearby enemies. This weapon can only be purchased from the gunrunners. Number 6 is the Ballistic Fist with 87.3 DPS or 182 with perks. The standard version may do more damage, but it has no special attributes. This is the highest weapon on the list with no special attributes, although it does naturally have a high crit damage by comparison to most normal weapons. They can be found in many shops and are used by Caesar's guards. Number 5 we have Pushy with an 88.4 DPS or 159.7. This is a very high damage unique variant of the Displacer Glove and can be obtained very early in the game by rushing to Ruby Hill Mine and going past the Lake Lurks, meaning for the majority of unarmed builds, this is the weapon that you will use for most of the early and mid game. It deals more damage with higher attack speed and crit damage than the standard version. Number 4 we have the Saturnite Fist Superheated with a 90.8 DPS or 257.3 with perks. This weapon can also set targets on fire for 2 damage per second with a crit, making it a very high damage weapon if you have a build for crits and the Pyromaniac perk, meaning it is often better than the 2 above it in this list, as you will see from the perk with stats. You can get this weapon by taking a regular Saturnite Fist to the toaster in the sink. At number 3 we have Greased Lightning with 96 DPS or 200.2 with perks, a noticeable 50 less than the previous weapon. It is a unique power fist with a very high attack speed but low damage. It also has a low crit damage, meaning although it may have higher raw DPS, it is still outdone by the Saturnite Superheated Fist for most characters. You can purchase this weapon from the Hidden Valley Bunker. At the number 2 spot we have the Fist of Raw with a 97.8 DPS or 204 with perks, which is still less than the Heated Fist. This is the unique variant and the only variant available of the Deathclaw Gauntlet in Fallout New Vegas. It has very high crit chance and crit damage, and it has bonus limb damage as well as a high attack speed, making it even more effective than the stats show. This weapon can be crafted after killing Raw near the end of the Lonesome Road DLC. And at the number 1 spot with the most amount of DPS possible using the unarmed skill, we have the Industrial Hand, the highest in the game with 160 DPS or an absurd 333.6 with the right perks. This weapon is unbelievably powerful, not only dealing all this damage, but also having the added effect of ignoring damage threshold and damage resistance. Although this weapon may count as an unarmed weapon, it uses the unarmed stat, it actually attacks in the same way a Ripper or Chainsaw melee weapon does. So if you want to get actually the highest DPS possible by punching, the Superheated Fist still takes the cake with all the correct perks including Pyromaniac at 257.3, but the Industrial Hand takes the top spot for sheer damage with 333.6 with the possible damage with an unarmed weapon. 5 of these can be found across the Divide in the Lonesome Road DLC. I hope you enjoyed this list, thank you for watching, and goodbye.